Hey everybody, welcome to Pink Shade. It's Thursday, and that means it's Shades of Bravo. I'm here with my friend Dame Brian Moylan, the president and founder of the Real Housewives Institute, to talk about Jersey and the Valley. Welcome, Brian. I'm so happy that you're here to talk to me on this momentous occasion.
I'm so happy to be here to talk about these shows on this momentous occasion, especially the Valley. Jersey? Maybe.
I have exactly 2 bullet points for
Okay.
Jersey, and then I have 8 pages of notes for the Valley. So that
Yeah.
tells
So
you
what
what I
are
do.
your 2
I would like
Jersey bullet points?
Rachel Fuda brought it this week.
Yep.
I loved every second of it, and I retweeted her tweet where she tweeted and said, like, slept with both eyes closed, like, woke up feeling pretty good. I was like, yes, savage. I love it.
But I hate Teresa so much, but one of my favorite things about her.
You're so brave. You're so brave. You're so brave to say it out loud.
Oh, I am not afraid of the tree huggers, which I think aren't. I think there aren't as many as we think there are. They're just like really mean. But
Yeah.
one of my favorite things about Teresa, which is actually one of the reasons I hate her, is because what Dolores said at the episode is true. Like, it takes Teresa's like Commodore 64 of a brain like 3 days to figure out like the mean things people said about her. And then once she finally does, then she's like, I'm mad about it. Like, like you could call Teresa a piece of shit to her face, and it would take her like a day and a half to recognize what you said about her.
We even saw that on the first season with the table flip, right? It took her a solid 5 minutes to realize that Danielle was insulting her when she was like, keep up, please. And then Teresa's like,
yeah.
Wait a minute.
Ratchets it up as she's like going as the wheel slowly spins, and then she flips the table. Yeah. Oh, Teresa.
Yes. Yeah, I am also not a fan. Am afraid of the tree huggers. And listen, I'm afraid of everybody on the internet. So my second bullet point is, please remind me about why they're saying Danielle was set up. Was it because of last year's reunion that they're saying that they set her up?
No, so, okay. I don't remember all the ins and outs of it, but I think they're saying they set Danielle up because Jen Aiden told Danielle about this cheating rumor about Melissa,
right,
to get her to talk about it on camera. But then when she talked about it on camera, Melissa already knew about it.
That's it. So that's the setup. So it was about the reunion last year when she kind of came to the realization that they set her up.
Yes.
Meaning they told it to her so she would say it on camera because she was new and she didn't know what she was doing.
But what I was
like, is it because she was mean to the hairdresser? That could be it. Yeah.
But what I don't understand is Jen Aiden was explaining it both to Danielle and to Melissa and saying the reason I couldn't tell her that Melissa knew is because then I would have to say that Louis talked to Joe Gorga about it. But like, why couldn't she say that Louis talked to Joe Gorga about it? Like, the rationale amongst all of it doesn't make any sense. But they clearly set Danielle up to do their dirty work, and then got caught.
Right, and I did enjoy the Jen Aiden Melissa lunch, which is interesting, right? Because it shows that Melissa's like, all right, this is literally Teresa's right-hand man, but I'll go, Melissa's like, I'm on a show. I'll go to lunch with her. I'll film with her. It just kind of shows the difference where Teresa would never do that. If they said you have to go to lunch with like Melissa's sister or something, she would never do that,
No, absolutely not. Mm-mm. And I think that that's the thing about Melissa and Teresa is this season, Melissa's like, I don't want to talk about her. I don't want to answer any questions, whatever. And Teresa takes every opportunity she can to get digs in at Melissa.
Mhm.
They go to the charity softball event and Melissa says, go give your aunt and your husband and your cousin a kiss. Teresa would never do that. Like, people don't love Melissa. I'm not always a huge fan of hers, but she's way classier than Teresa is. I will give her that.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that's it. 5 minutes, that's all they get. All right, l let's move on to the Valley. All right, we're gonna go through it. We're going through every scene, we're going through every word, we are
Oh,
dissecting. We're here.
I am ready. It was kind of a weird episode because it was like the first half was the season finale, and then the second half
Yeah.
was like the reunion, in that we're seeing what happened since the cameras went down. People, they're talking to each other about what happened. We're seeing the divorces, etc. So it was really a very strange episode for a Bravo show and something I feel like we haven't really seen before. So I'm ready to get into it.
I think we've seen it before with, like, Salt Lake City. Remember when they did that episode where it was, like, 20 minutes was that Heather Gay, choral thing where they did
Yes.
the gospel music, and then we switched over to what happened after the trial, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. That's,
Yeah.
yes.
It was
That's
a very
fair.
split
Yeah.
episode,
Yeah.
but I like it, and because 'cause we're not getting a Valley reunion. What do you think of that? I think they deserve a reunion.
I feel like they deserve a reunion. I feel like because they kind of rushed it into production and then rushed it onto the air because of Scandival, etc. I feel like it was more of a production problem than
Mm.
a this doesn't deserve it. But the Valley, I wrote a whole article about this on Vulture. Like, it seemed like the Valley was going to be terrible. Like, the trailers were terrible. Jax and Brittany breaking up seemed like it was a ploy to get us to watch, but then it ended up being really, really good. So, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah,
anyone, including Bravo, was prepared for how good it was going to be or how popular it was going to be.
yeah, I totally agree with that. All right, you guys, even though my voice is going out, I can still tell you about Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Tropical Smoothie Cafe believes you deserve a getaway every day, not just once a year. Summer mocktail smoothies are here for a limited time at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Mocktail hour on the pool deck is just a sip away because nothing says summer like a mocktail smoothie. You guys, they have fan faves, Island Punch, but my favorite is Mango Berry Cosmo. I just got one this past weekend. Oh, so good. But if you like a mojito, they have this mocktail watermelon mojito. It's a smoothie. So good. These are just for a limited time, but it doesn't get any more refreshing than that. And it's summer, guys. We're hot. So join Tropical Smoothie Cafe for a pineapple, mango, and watermelon soiree all summer long. Grab a refreshing Island Punch, Mango Berry Cosmo, my favorite, and Watermelon Mojito Mocktail Smoothie, and meet us poolside. You're on Tropic Time now with Tropical Smoothie Cafe. So we start off with Jasmine and Zach going to a pottery class and chatting about the baby moon weekend. I have to say, I don't know what this place is in LA, but I would like to go to there. My God.
You want to make some pots with Jasmine?
I really don't. I just want to go and take some like influencer photos there. Like, not that I'm an
Yeah.
influencer, but you know what I mean? Like the place was gorgeous.
Yeah, it looked really nice and like sunny and open.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I have to say about that. So, now over at Jax's bar. Now, have you been to Jax's bar? Because I have.
No, I have not. And based on what I saw on last night's episode, I don't think I'm going to make it a priority.
Well, where Brittany is making that succulent wall, you walk in and there's like a built-in bench, and then you go into an open space that is literally like a couple of booths in the back, a circular couch in the middle, which is for the cast, and
Yeah,
then it's picnic tables.
got
And
it. And is it like indoor,
I
outdoor?
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and it's attached to another bar restaurant. So the food and everything comes out from that bar restaurant, and it's basically just an annex of another restaurant called Rocco's that's already there.
Hmm.
So
Okay. And did you have the food? I hear Mima's beer cheese is on the menu.
I had Mima's beer cheese. It was good. And I had a pizza, which was good. The staff was great. Jax was there running around, like bussing tables, like he'd been on a 4-day bender, allegedly. And Brittany came in. Now, what I will say is because I was there with my producer, Ingrid, who I believe you've met, and
Hmm.
Ryan Bailey.
Yeah.
And I 100% think that when we were there, it was the second episode of The Valley was airing on all their TVs.
Yep.
And I 100% believe that they had filmed the scene earlier in the day where Brittany goes over to Janet's and she's got on that white bustier.
Yep.
She's talking to Janet and Michelle and Nia. I 100% think they filmed that earlier that day because that's the outfit she came into the Valley in. She came into Jax's in. It was in March.
Yeah. Well, and
So
that
I
sounds
wrote,
about when,
right.
yeah, they would have been filming that too. And so was it
Yeah. Because they,
a watch party for the Valley, or were they just playing the Valley?
So I didn't quite realize it, right? Because you can't like make a reservation or whatever. So
Yeah.
I sent an email and just said, "Hey, I'd love to have a table for 3. I'm coming at this time on Tuesday night, blah blah blah, whatever the date was." And they wrote back, "Okay, it's going to be like $500 a table." And I was like, "Now say what?" And they said, "Oh, we're sorry. We thought you meant this Tuesday because that was the watch party for episode 1, but it was the
Got it.
next week." So I was like, "Oh, okay." I completely did not even clock that it was a Tuesday night because it didn't even occur to me because
Yeah.
it had only been one episode. It didn't occur
Right.
to me
Yeah.
that it came on Tuesday night. So when we went, it just happens to they had Vanderpump on, and then when it switched over to the Valley, whatever time that was, 7, 8, whatever, West Coast, they turned those TVs up so loud.
Yeah.
And it was like 20 TVs, like a sports bar, all play, and everybody was standing around watching it. And Michelle was there, but we didn't know Michelle yet, so I didn't even
Right.
realize that was Michelle. Um, and that's when I was like, I'm gonna have to go. Like this is very loud, and this is not what I came for.
It would have been
Um,
so sad if they were just playing the Valley at Jackson's.
on a like
You
on
know,
a
like
loop,
on a random
on a
Thursday
loop, yeah.
afternoon, just like on a loop.
Yeah, like Kristen and Zach were there, and she came in and she was in that exact outfit she wore on last night's episode, that Valley sweatshirt, those leggings. Like I'm telling you, I think they were filming earlier in the day.
Yeah, I think you're
I,
correct.
um, because Jack's had on the same outfit, but although I think that's all he wears is that hat and that sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Um, we get
And
it.
you know
You
they
love a
both
bar.
smell.
Okay. Yeah. He didn't have Brittany to wash his clothes anymore. So, Brittany's making a succulent wall, which was cute. And Jackson's sister is there. Her name is Jenny with her husband, Pat. And we find out that Brittany surprised Jax with his sister. And I mean, that's really nice.
That
It's
is
a
really
really
nice.
nice thing that just shows that Brittany is, so she says to him when she's like, aren't you so glad I surprised you? And he's like, yeah, that was really special. I knew I should have invited him, but I didn't know. And she goes, aren't you sorry for being so mean to me now? And he says, look, I made a mistake. I'm drunk. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I mean, whatever. I'm not perfect. Whatever. I'm a work in progress. Blah blah blah. And she goes, I don't even think you're attracted to me, which I think she's contractually obligated to say once an episode.
But
Once
I
an
also
episode.
feel like it's true.
It's true. It's totally true.
Yeah.
He goes into, as always, Jax. We watched him for 10 years now. Excuses. I'm stressed. I've got the hair thing. I got the podcast. And she's like, yeah, both of us, have a lot going on. So, I thought we are going to start trying for a baby this month. And then you were so against it. It hurt my feelings. And when you talk to me like that, it's very hurtful. And, if we can't fix our relationship, like we shouldn't have another kid. And he's like, yeah, I'm stressed. And I was like, okay, we see Brittany's wheels are turning and she's
Yeah.
starting to come to her senses. Thank God. All right. Now, here's something interesting. Luke and Kristen are talking about their plans. He's like, he's going to go to Indiana for a month. They're going to meet in Colorado, something, who cares? He keeps futzing about on the bed with a shirt that he later ends up wearing the sweatshirt version that says, see you at the top. They showed it 20 times. I was like, okay, product placement, we get it.
I
Then
mean,
I looked it up. I was like, what is the shirt? It is a brand called Kid Dangerous. It's an LA
okay.
brand. I looked it up. It's called it's an LA brand called Kid Dangerous. Not expensive. The t-shirt is like $28. It's just a local brand that gives back to charity. Buy a shirt, give a shirt. Um, but why do they keep showing it?
I have no idea. And he also showed up to the finale party in that hoodie that looked like
Yeah,
he bought it at Target. No offense to Target hoodies, but like it's the
same.
finale party. Jesse's in a suit. Like you couldn't put
Right.
on a polo shirt. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
But it's the same brand. So you're like, okay, did this Kid Dangerous give him these clothes? But again, it's a $28 t-shirt. So the sweatshirt we'll just assume is a $48 price point. So it's not like it's not even Kristen's brand, which would
I
make
well
more
that
sense.
yeah, like is it a Friends brand? What are you doing? I don't know about this Luke character. Do we know what he does for a job?
He's a lumberjack. I don't know what he does for a job. I don't know. If you know what, on his somebody looked him up on LinkedIn and said that most of his stuff has been in Indiana, and he was like in real estate with his dad or something. And so I don't know if they just had a real estate company in Indiana, and during COVID he moved out to the Colorado property. I think he's just got money. That's what I think. Family money,
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
He
If
could
they
live
have
in LA
family
for the
money, why are
summer.
they living
Like,
in that piece of shit apartment?
that apartment has a refrigerator in the living room.
I
I
mean,
mean,
that that's the thing about these Vanderpump Rules kids is after a decade of watching them, we finally got
yeah,
them out of those dingy apartments into nice houses. And then now they're
yeah.
all getting divorced and they're all going back to shitty apartments again.
I know. I know. At least get a nice apartment.
I
Yeah.
know.
Um, all right. So Kristen says, she misspoke about what she said about Michelle. When she said Michelle had a boyfriend for a year, she misspoke. She meant to say Michelle had a boyfriend a year ago. So she
And
could
by
see
a
why Michelle
boyfriend,
would
she
be
means
mad.
someone who she was texting with a little bit.
Yeah. Right. Right. Nobody that she was actually like meeting for clandestine appointments. So now Jesse and his headband are talking to Michelle about what to wear to the bar opening. And Jesse goes, I really want to talk to Jax about what's going on with his marriage because Jax has flat out said Brittany will never leave. And we
Right.
have a really similar situation here. And I just want to like counsel him. And he says to Michelle, I felt the same way about you because you have such strong family values. You would never abandon the marriage. And she goes, I'm not abandoning anything. She said,
Yeah.
I'm being honest. I'm telling you, I've lost my feelings and I don't want to feel like this. And he goes, good. Then you should start every morning with Jesse is an amazing husband and father. And maybe we can get back to April 2020 when it was great. And she goes, I want to be in love with you, but I don't know if I can. And I'm sorry. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, so what we're seeing with these two and the way they communicate, you're like, this is going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine. Like they are going to get divorced and they are going to be the most wonderful divorced couple ever. We find out later, maybe not the case, but in these conversations, they're so honest with each other, you
See,
know?
I feel like Jesse and Michelle's divorce is the same as Jax and Brittany's divorce in that Jesse treated Michelle like crap for a really long time and she finally
Yeah.
got hip to it. The difference is we
Yeah.
haven't seen their entire relationship like we've seen Jax and Brittany's entire relationship. So if you were to
Yeah.
just go on the show, it would seem like Jesse's working really hard to make things right with Michelle and Michelle just doesn't want it. But I think what we're not seeing is that however long Jesse was a jerk and she just took it. And now she's finally coming into
Yeah.
her own and saying, like, I'm not playing with this anymore.
Yeah. And I think we saw it at the beginning of the season, how he was kind of like, too much milk in my coffee, Michelle. Are you going to
Yeah.
do the laundry, Michelle? You know what I mean? We saw it. And then he kind of got I don't know, we kind of saw a fun side of him towards the end. And we're like, okay, he's
Yeah.
kind of quirky. We like a
Yeah.
guy who brings his own coffee maker on the trip. He's very LA. But now, at the end, we see kind of maybe his true colors, how he's
Oh my
a
God.
dick to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Excuse the coughing. Okay. So Jesse says, that he takes 3 steps forward towards her. She takes 6 steps back. So the bar is now going to do the soft opening. Everyone starts to arrive. So we see Shorts, and thank God he got rid of that crisis hair. And he He
I
brought
I was going
Fireball
to
in a plastic
LA and
bag.
I said
Mm.
to my friend Sarah Galley, who hosts the Angie's Girls podcast, and I
Yeah,
was like,
love her.
should I
Yeah.
go to Joe and get my hair dyed blonde like Tom Schwartz did, and I can write about it for my newsletter? And Sarah said, "Do you hate yourself? Why would you do that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a very good point, Sarah." So I did it.
I really yeah, well, anybody that does that, like, Gina from Jersey, anybody that dyes their hair that platinum blonde obviously is having a crisis, so we call it crisis hair.
Yeah.
So, I I did think it was cute that he brought the Fireball in a plastic bag, for Jax's dad, and he's that's just Schwartz's. I'm glad he didn't bring a plant because that was his
I
thing all
thought he
last
was
year,
going to bring
on
a
Game of
plant and
Thrones.
add it to the succulent wall. But what I loved is Schwartz walks in and goes, "Oh my God, it's so rustic," which is not the word you want to hear. That's like, "Oh, this is so cozy." It's like the kind of thing you say to make something shitty feel better.
Listen, if Brittany has one word in her aesthetic, it is rustic.
Oh my
That
God,
is
yeah.
Brittany's aesthetic. Yes, that's her aesthetic. She is
Yeah,
country with a K, country, cozy, double Ks. So Luke arrives in his see you at the top sweatshirt, and they chat with Jax, Kristen, and Luke. And Kristen looked great. She had a really cute dress.
she
And,
did.
she's like, they're congratulating them. And Michelle and Janet are standing there and they run off. So now Janet asks Jasmine about Zach and was he in Big Bear? And she goes, no, he was trolling you. He was trying to be funny. And Janet's
I
like, oh my
mean,
God, that's not
Janet,
cool.
of
It was
course
funny.
he
Who
wasn't in
cares?
Big Bear. Like, come on. What is wrong with her? She's so drama for its own sake. And I think the reason
Yeah,
she was scared that Zach was actually in Big Bear is because Janet would do that. Like, Janet would show up. And that's why she was afraid that Zach might actually do it. But, like, who's really going to do that? Come on,
that's
you're
funny.
crazy, lady.
Yeah, I don't know how far that drive is, but I wouldn't do it. Seems like you
Yeah,
get
no.
real car sick on the way there.
Yeah.
Um, so then Zach, our hero, who we haven't seen in 2 episodes really, really came into the finale with like, "Oh, I'm here."
Yeah.
So I listen, you may not like his hair, but I do enjoy Zach and his messiness. I do. I do. So, Zach says, Janet, should we have a private conversation? Because we're on reality TV. And so we have to go to the side and have a private conversation. And she goes, no, we can just talk here. And Janet says, listen, I want to tell you, like, I never sent Jax to uninvite people. And I have no idea why he did that. And I was planning to invite you on that phone call. But then you got really aggressive with me on the phone call. And Zach is like rolling his eyes. And Jason walks up and Jason goes, but Zach, isn't that what happened? You're rolling your eyes. And Janet goes, yeah, I mean, that is what happened. Jared and Simon were sitting right there and they heard it. And Zach says, I don't care what crock of shit boots heard. I could give a shit less. And so Janet stands up and he's like, get the fuck out of here. And Jason grows a pair of balls all of a sudden and got real hot and was like, hey man, don't ever fucking talk to my wife like that. You think I'm fucking around? I'll wreck you, dude. And I was like, and then Jason just smiles because he's like, I can't believe I just said that. Like, look at me.
I
Look
couldn't
at
believe you just
me.
said that either, which, I get that you want to make sure people treat your wife correctly, but that seemed a little high school to me, like, I'm going to beat you up. And I was like, oh, Jason, get over it. But yeah,
This,
Zach said, Zach uh, immediately gets aggressive with Janet as soon as he hears about crock of shit boots on the phone call, but he is right in that it is classic mean girl behavior to put you on
yeah,
speaker. You don't know there are other people there, and not tell you
yes,
about it. And so this is the thing about Janet and Zach is that they're the exact same person. And that's why they
yes,
hate each other because they're
yes,
both exactly the same. And
yeah,
that's why Janet was afraid that Zach was going to show up at Big Bear because they're just both playing the same petty drama game. But it seemed to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, that Janet kept alluding to something that had happened with her and Zach in the past that we never quite saw. Did you get that impression?
It was sort of like I've tried for years to be friends with him. I
Yes.
keep trying, but
Everything
he
we've
yeah,
been
it's like,
through. Yeah.
yeah. And you're like,
I want to
what
know
is
what
it?
that
Man,
is.
well, season 2. So
That's what we would have found
then
out
we
at the
see
reunion. That's why we need a reunion.
that's right. That's right. Would Andy have asked that question? So we see Janet sit down and it's like, Jasmine just said that Zach admitted he was trolling me. And Jasmine stands up and was like, now hold on now. Don't drag me into this. Is not, she was like joking. That's not exactly what she didn't say. Zach was trolling you, like in a mean way. And Janet, of course, spins it. And Jasmine's like, no, 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 no. Don't drag me into this. And we see Zach going, thank you, Jasmine. And then we get this shot of Janet sitting there with Simon and Jared's like applying powder to his face. I
Oh,
mean, it is just
God.
like hilarious, hilarious.
I've been
So
calling Jared and Simon Flotsam and Jetsam, like the eels, Ursula the Sea Witch's eels. Like that's what they remind
yeah,
me of. Like Janet is like wonderfully evil, like Ursula the Sea Witch, and those are her little minions swimming by her side. And that's totally what they were doing at the finale party.
that's a great comparison.
Thank
Now
you.
I'm never gonna not see it ever. Yeah. So Brittany walks up to Zach and is like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And Zach's like, Janet has her minions around her, and they're all like, "Listen, Zach, she's 8 months pregnant. You need to be careful, and you're causing her stress." And he goes, he goes, "I'm sorry. It's not like the oh wait, she is the Queen of England because she's dead to me." And so good. And Brittany says,
That was a good
"This is
line.
the opening of our bar. This is the opening of our bar. I want everybody to have a good time. Please stop."
Your Brittany is cracking me up. It's so good.
Well, she's from Kentucky. I'm from Mississippi, so we're birds of a feather
Yeah,
flock
next
together.
door neighbors. I
Next
will
door neighbors.
say,
So,
and Michelle said this too. Janet says it herself. She's like, watch your tone with me. I'm pregnant. It's like, okay, I get that you're pregnant. I get that, et cetera, et cetera. But
yeah.
also, you signed up for a Bravo reality show a million months pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you not think people were
Yeah.
going to come for you and yell at you? You've known the Vanderpump Kids long enough. Like, if you were that worried about
Yeah.
your baby, you would have been like, maybe I'll come on for season 2.
I did love in one of those first episodes when Jason said, when Janet got pregnant, she quit her job, but she took up another full-time occupation, which is gossip.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
feel like that
hilarious.
has
That was
always been
hilarious.
Janet's full-time occupation.
I do too. I do too. Summer is here and your wardrobe needs an upgrade, right? Sort of like my voice needs an upgrade right about now because I've been sick. But guys, I still have to tell you about my favorite, which is Quince. Look, you got to go to Quince. You can't go to these flimsy, fast fashion places. You got to spend your money wisely and get staple pieces like high quality essentials that are going to last. Okay, every time I come on here, I tell you guys what I recently got at Quince, and guess what I got? I got a little suitcase. It's a rolling carry-on size suitcase. It's perfect. It is literally identical and half the price to other brands of suitcases. And I got the cutest linen dress. It's short sleeves. It's navy. It's got little buttons down the front and some sort of pin tucks. It is cool and light for the summer, and I'm so excited about it. You guys, they have the most gorgeous, like washable silk summer dresses and skirts, and they have these great tank tops. And you guys, don't sleep on the jewelry, because I went over there. I mean, I got my eyeball on a couple of things, and now I'm talking like diamond rings and stuff, guys. They have some really great stuff, and they've got these woven leather handbags that look exactly like a certain designer, and that is 1/15 of the price probably. My God, this stuff is gorgeous. So upgrade your closet this summer with Quince. Right now, you're going to go to quince.com/pinkshade. You're going to get free shipping and 365 days to return your next order. That's quince.com/pinkshade for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/pinkshade. So, okay, so we see Danny, he's drunk. So Janet tries to talk to Jasmine and says like, we're all friends. This is all fucked up. And why, and then there's all this like fighting and have my back. You don't have my back and all that. And Janet says, normally Jasmine and I have common enemies. So it's hard when we're not on the same side. Now, Jax and Brittany are kind of hugging and talking, and it's so apparent that she's like hugging him and trying to lean up and kiss him. And he's like avoiding her kiss. And he's like, "Are you drunk? Please don't get drunk. I gotta do a speech." And she's like, "Jax, I'm fine." But the body language is so much that she's hugging him and trying to kiss. And he's like, "Okay, little lady,"
Yeah.
pat, pat. Like, I don't know. It's so
Yeah.
uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
Jasmine talks to Kristen, about, "I'm trying to talk to Janet. I'm over it." And Janet says, "Well," to all her minions, she goes, "I now know who my friends are and who will and will not be allowed around my child." Okay. So
And
Janet, we see.
it is
So
so dramatic about everything. It's like one stupid Facebook, Instagram story, and she's up all night
yeah,
working that Zach's going to show up. These people can't be around my child. Oh my God, Janet, save it.
I agree. I agree. So Jasmine and Jax are talking, and he goes, "I don't understand what the big deal was. I was just the messenger of this situation." And Jasmine goes, "You need to clarify that then, because," and
Yeah.
so Jax's sister was like, "What's all the drama about?" She's like, "I just got here." So, and then Kristen says to Michelle, like, "I don't want to fight with you, but why can't you realize that Janet is the one that started all of this, right?"
Yes.
So Jax goes up to Janet and her minions and goes, "Janet, I was the messenger. Okay, I was the messenger." And he's again like on a 10 on a 4-day bender.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I was the messenger. I was the messenger." And she goes, "Be careful with your tone, Jax. I am pregnant. So you're saying that I told you go to that party and uninvite everyone?" And Jax goes, "Everyone? Not everyone." And she goes, "I'm done. Good luck with your bar." So she just got called out for saying
Yeah.
don't invite Zach and Kristen. And she gets up. And Jason is so funny. So as Janet is walking off, Jason, I feel like this is his role in life. He's walking behind her going, "Janet, Janet, talk to me. It's me. It's me. Talk to
Yeah.
me."
It's me. It's me. I'm not coming for you.
Oh my God. That's Jason's
But
whole life, chasing her out of parties going, "It's me. It's your husband."
it's so, and Zach makes an excellent point too in saying that like Janet used to be able to get away with this, like trash talking all of her friends because her friends
Yep.
weren't all talking to each other. And now they're on the show, they're talking to each other. We're seeing everything, we're seeing what Janet's doing. And yeah, like I don't make it a habit to agree with Kristen Doty, but Janet really did start all this shit.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
and
she
she
did.
can't, and now that she has to deal with the fallout, she can't handle it.
I love it. I love how he says, "Now every single person sees it and it can't be ignored." I like how he pointed at the camera, like, "Now we're all going to see it."
Yeah,
So,
again,
so
that's why
Kristen,
we need a reunion.
exactly. So Kristen says to Michelle, "Look, I understand we're not going to make up. I understand that you're not going to believe, but I want you to enjoy your night." Kristen, takes the high road. Danny is drunk. Nia is annoyed, like, "Okay, stop this again." So Jax asks Brittany, "Come up here and do a speech with me." And he says, "Hey, it's the dream of any guy to have a sports bar. It happened super fast. It was only possible because of Brittany. I'm still not going to kiss her or act like I like her, but I will thank her." And she says the night was a success. And he says, "The bar was successful and we beat the odds. And even though we've had stress, my future with Brittany looks bright."
Girl,
Now we see him kiss Brittany
finally.
begrudgingly. And he goes, "I love you." And she said, "I love you too." And they play this like dun 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 music.
Because we
Now
all know where it's going. We all know where it's going.
so 6 months later, okay? So we see Michelle with Brittany, and she's being questioned by TMZ, and she's saying, like, "Yes, I moved out." Then in the talking head, Jax cries and says he didn't see it coming, and he walks off the set dramatically. Now we see March 2nd, 2024. Jesse is in his house, with his loafers and his green velvet chair with the dog, Malibu. And Michelle comes over with Isabella and Jesse, and they're doing like she wants to bring the bike. We got to get some
Yeah.
toys. Like they're doing this thing. And Jesse says, yeah, she told me 3 days after we wrapped that our relationship is over. It made me feel like a fucking idiot. It made me feel like I was blind and blindsided. No, you weren't. You knew it was coming. You said it all season. I think my marriage is over.
Yeah, like blind, yes.
Yes.
Blindsided? Ugh.
No.
Michelle was giving him the breadcrumbs for the whole season. And I wonder if he feels like an idiot because he knows he's on camera trying to save it and it's doomed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Rather
Mm-hmm.
than feeling like an idiot because his marriage is over.
And she wasn't behind his back shit talking him like he's a horrible husband. Of course I'm leaving. She wasn't doing. She was like, I'm trying. We fell out of love.
Yeah.
She was respectful to their marriage, I thought.
Well, and there was all the stuff about her with other dudes. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this was not something that you should have been
blindsided. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as opposed to Lindsay on Summer House, where kind of a similar situation, and that I do feel like she was a bit blindsided because in her mind she was still working on it. But
yeah.
And Carl had never really intoned that he was going to break up with her. Where both of them said on camera multiple times, like, I think my marriage is over. So
totally.
Come on.
Yeah. So they talk about the schedule, 2 days on, 2 days off. And he says, have you gotten and this is where we see a little of him coming out. He goes, have you gotten the supplies from Malibu? And she goes, yeah. He goes, night food and day food, all of it. And she goes, yes, of course, I got the food for the dog. Do you know what I mean? This is the kind of thing that, you're married, I'm married. This is the kind of conversation that happens in my house all the time.
And
it's
then,
like, did you do this? I'm like, I'm not a fucking idiot. Of course I did it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, and also the thing where he's like, we decided to go with a mediator and I'm not going to sign anything until my lawyer looks at it. And she's like, Jesse, we're getting divorced, which means you have to sign. And it's like, and then he says something to her about like, I've explained it to you 11 times. And it's like, so condescending.
Yep.
So it's like the exact same way Jax talks to Brittany. And and it's like, no wonder she's divorcing you. You're a fucking dick.
Yeah. So this is where she says, so we need to make a list. And he goes, why? It's very simple. And she goes, it's very simple until it's complicated. And you tend to make things complicated. So I'd like to have the list. And he goes, it's pretty easy. Past and present clients, past and present leads, past and present referral sources. It's very clear. And she goes, yeah, it is very clear. And that's why it should be in writing.
Yeah. Well, and if it's so simple, just make the fucking list, dude.
Make the list.
Like,
yeah. And Jess says, the mediator was very clear, with the filing paperwork, we need to print it, sign it, scan it, and send it back to her. And I'm not signing anything until I talk to an attorney so I can go to court and file. And she goes, right. But we have to get divorced in order to do that. In order to do that, you have to sign. And he goes, they got a mediator. And now he's saying, I'm not doing what the mediator says. And she's like, what's the point of the mediator? So he goes, I know you don't care because you don't think about stuff like that. And she goes, okay. She goes, there's nothing to discuss. I moved out. So like, she's like, she agreed to abandon the marriage, which means she agreed to move out.
Right.
She said, I paid half the rent here and I've paid for my new place. And he goes, well, I'm talking about the corporation, and the corporate attorney said, you have to put the money in, but then you took it out. And she goes, I'm not giving you any issues. I moved out. I got new furniture. I moved on. We're not in business. There's no reason to make anything complicated. So she says, he has a very strong personality. He's not used to me being stern and not taking his bullshit. To which I said in this talking head, did she get new teeth? Because her teeth look
a good question.
Very big and white and new in this final talking head where she's got the new dress on.
I hate the new dress, and I think I was so distracted by the like sequin rose kind of pattern on it that I wasn't paying attention to the teeth. But I am going to go back and see if she had new teeth.
I was trying to look at like the Jack's party versus this new talking head, and the teeth look a little Lisa Vanderpumpish, a little big.
I could see that. I could
Yeah,
see that. I don't
glow
remember
up.
them being like bad before though.
No,
Whereas
she
I
was
bet having
bad.
living in England, I know why Lisa Vanderpump probably got veneers.
Yeah. Listen, I'm all for it. I'm all for fixing your teeth, but I think sometimes, they go too big. So,
Yeah.
um, anyway, he in his confessional, he cries about Isabella and says we want to make sure she's living the best she can, and blah blah blah. And she says making the decision to get divorced is hard because one day I'll have to tell my daughter I made the decision, which of course is something Jesse said in one of the first episodes. Like, I've told her if she divorces me, I'll have to say mommy decided to divorce daddy,
Right.
which is such a power play. It's like, well, don't be a dick and I won't have to divorce you. I mean,
But also, Isabella's going to grow up with that father. And one day when she's old enough, she's going to say, oh, I totally understand why my mother
I get
left you.
it. I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Jesse, let's maybe ease up on that.
It's not going to age well. So, Michelle and Nia go over and they see Janet and they're talking about new mom life, and she's pumping and she's got a little baby boy named Cameron, and she says he's sweet and easy just like Jason, not like her. And
Thank God.
Michelle 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 has a new place still close to Chateau Marmont, and they're waiting for Brittany to come over to see how she's doing. Now, Jason goes to see Jax at the bar, and Jax is wearing a dad life sweatshirt. So he took off the Jax's sweatshirt and put on a
Oh
dad life
my
sweatshirt.
God.
It's either dad life, Jax's bar, or number one guy in the group. He only has 3 items of clothing. And Jax is like, yeah, the paparazzi's following me, and I'm just like triggered, and I have a short fuse. And Jason goes, well, but like, there's no infidelity or anything. And Jack's like, no, 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 nothing like that. No. So Brittany arrives, and of course, now Janet is not pregnant, so they do shots because Brittany loves a shot. And Brittany
Yeah,
says
even though it makes her violently ill. But great, Brittany, go off, have a shot.
she's got ulcers in her stomach and gastric issues, but do it, girl. So she says she's been doing okay, but today was hard. And so that's when I realized, I was like, she is in that outfit that I
Yeah,
saw her. Yeah, crazy.
yeah.
So,
Well, it's just like, the date said it was March something. You're onto
well,
something. They were totally
uh,
filming.
yeah, we were there. We were there towards the end of March, but that March 2nd date was the date they showed Michelle and Jesse. So it didn't
Yeah,
necessarily apply to this. So she says, Jax and I were having issues, and once the camera stopped, it just got worse. And so 6 weeks ago, I moved into an Airbnb with Cruz because Jax would not leave the house. And then she says to the girl, she goes, in Kentucky, a man would never do that, have me leave the house. And Michelle goes, yeah, in our situation, both the man got to stay and we had to leave. And
yeah.
Brittany goes, yeah, he told me he's not leaving the house and I would have to leave, which is it's just such a dick move. It just is. Especially for Jax knowing he's the reason for the divorce.
Well, and especially because there's a kid. Like, you're gonna make her uproot this kid and take him to an Airbnb where he doesn't have any of his things. Like, that
Hmm.
seems crazy to me.
Hmm.
But of course, Jax only thinks about himself, and
Yeah.
and is so selfish. He doesn't even think about his kid or about Brittany.
No,
Oh, he's such a
that she's
dick.
going to have to pack up this child, you know. So
And
the
it's
talking
also
head,
Tom Sandoval, and it's like Jax, Tom Sandoval, and Jesse are all the same exact person. Like, they're all just like narcissists who make shit up and
yeah,
won't let you have your way if you want it.
just trying to think of those 3. I guess from worst to best would be Sandoval, Jax, Jesse.
Yeah, I
Of
was
those
just
3,
doing a
Jesse would be
fuck
the
Mary
best. Yeah.
kill, and I think I would
Mm.
have to fuck Sandoval, marry Jesse, and kill Jax.
Hmm.
Only because
Well,
Jesse seems to have the most money. That's why I would marry him.
yeah, I would marry Jesse, bang Jax, and kill Sandoval.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair,
So,
acceptable.
yeah, because, back in the day, Vanderpump season 1, I was real hot for Jax.
Oh my God, Jax was so hot back then.
So hot. So that's why I have to harken back to how I felt about him when I first saw him and thought like, yeah. So, okay. So Jack says, Brittany and I are on a break. And I said I would never get married. And then I said I would never get separated. But here we are. It's not looking good. So Brittany tells the girls that Jax was going out and he would come home with these horrible hangovers and just mean as a snake. And he would just yell at me for hours and hours. And then one day it hit me like a ton of bricks, with everything and how he was treating me, like whenever he was drunk. And I just said, I got to pack up. So Cruz and I just left. And she tells us she's dealt with so much. She goes, he's
Yes.
cheated on me. He's been
Yes.
disrespectful. He's humiliated me. I've been through a lot of pain, and a lot of it has been public, and I can't deal with it
Yep.
anymore. I'm like, well,
Yep.
thank you. Thank you, Brittany.
Oh my God, Brittany, how many years do we have to yell at you for you to finally figure it out?
She's just a good person, and she just like, listen, she's got that thing that a lot of us women have, which I can change him. He'll
Yeah.
change for me.
Yeah.
So she
No.
tells the ladies that the ups and downs of his personality have been hard, and he really needs therapy. And then we see him telling Jason, I need therapy. Yeah, I need therapy. Yeah, I need therapy. I need to get a doctor. I need an antidepressant. I need something. So he says, I just want to be happy. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. So then Michelle tells them, yeah, we hired a mediator who's going to file for the divorce for us. And I'm feeling very relieved and happy. And Nia says, Brittany, do you have any hope, that things are going to get better? And Brittany says, I'm really at the tipping point of probably no. I
Yeah.
don't want to let my family down because I fought so hard for them to like Jax. And that's
Your
really sad
family,
that, yeah.
your family is going to be relieved, Brittany, that man is mostly out of your life.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah.
So then we get this scene with Brittany and Jax. So she's upstairs and Cruz is at the park with the nanny or somebody. And he comes in and talks to her and he goes, so, what's the plan? And she goes, Jax, you're not going to get away with the way you treated me all these years. And he goes,
No.
yeah. The space has been good. The space has been good. And then we see this clip of her talking to Zack and Kristen, where Kristen's in the same outfit. I saw her at the thing. And they were saying Jax in front of Zack. So when you see somebody treat somebody like that in front of people, God knows what they're doing when nobody's around.
Yes.
And Jax would call her fat, lazy, told her she had no friends in LA. And I'm sure he also said, you're not going to be on this TV show. I'm sure
Right.
he said that too.
100%. But also, the funny thing is, all of Jax's friends will side with Brittany. Like,
Yes.
and
They've
even
always said that. They've always said, we'll take Brittany over Jax any day.
Yes, and even at the Vanderpump Rules reunion, Andy was like, "Oh, do you talk to Jax?" And everyone's like, "Well, I still talk to Brittany because Brittany's nice and fun, and I bet Brittany like texts you back and wishes you a happy birthday." Jax isn't doing that.
And so Jax tells Brittany he has an appointment with a therapist on the 26th, and she goes, "Oh, really? When did you make that appointment?" And he goes, yesterday." And she goes, right before the cameras went up. And I was like, yes, Brittany, you do it. And then talking heads, she goes, it's all a front. He does these things so people will think he's a nice person. And I bet you money he won't do it. Now, of course, we all know this. We've been watching him since day one. We know everything is a front. Everything is a lie.
Yes.
And then the talking head, the producer goes, so did you go to that therapy appointment? He goes, yeah, like I made the appointment, but I didn't go. And the producer goes, because you were afraid? He goes, yeah, it's far. It's a far drive.
It was in Malibu.
And
girl, why are you making an appointment in Malibu? Why are you making an appointment with Jesse and Michelle's dog as your therapist?
Exactly.
But
that's who the appointment was with, Malibu.
I will bet money that therapy appointment never existed.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, y'all, excuse my voice, but I'm here to tell you about BO. That's right. I'm here to talk to you about Lume whole body deodorant. You guys, I was away this weekend in Las Vegas where it was, no lie, over 100 degrees every day. Do you want to talk about some BO? I was at a Grateful Dead show. There was BO upon BO. And all of these people could have used some Lume. I should have walked around handing out Lume to people because, let me tell you something. When it stinks, it stinks. And you need deodorant everywhere sometimes. And, thank God there's Lume because unlike certain other deodorants, Lume is powered by mandelic acid to control odor in a new way. They deliver outrageous 72-hour odor control everywhere from your pits to your feet, and yes, even your privates. In fact, it was patients' concerns about private part odor that originally inspired the OBGYN who invented Lume. You guys, at our house, we always talk about getting the chafe, and that's like at the beach in the summer and stuff when your thighs rub together and you get the chafe. You put that Lume on there, you get no chafe, and it protects the legs, and also no stink in that area. You know what I'm saying? So I have a special offer for you guys. New customers of Lume are going to get 15% off all Lume products. You're going to use our exclusive code and link. So use the code PINKSHADE at LumeDeodorant.com to get 15% off all the products. LumeDeodorant.com and use code PINKSHADE. So he tells her, yeah, I mean, the appointment's in Malibu. And she goes, right. But if you would have made the appointment like a month or 2 months ago, you got something closer. And she goes, don't get mad because I'm calling you out. Do you want me? Or do you want to just sit there and let me go? Because I'll go. And he says, I do want you back, but you decided to leave. So this is his narrative. You decided to leave. And, it was hard in the beginning, but as time goes on, it's been nice. The space. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
And she goes,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it's been amazing to get the fuck away from you. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I want you back, but hasn't the space been nice? Like, because Jax won't be like, I want to divorce you. He's like, again, exactly like Sandoval, like trying to make the woman do it because they're too much of a chicken shit.
It is just like an 8th grade boyfriend. They will be mean to you until you break up with them.
Yes, exactly.
So they don't have to do it.
Yeah.
So she says, yeah, it's been amazing, Jax, to get the fuck away from you, of course. But she goes, do you not see why I decided to leave? These are the things you need to address. You took away my safe space. You took that all away from me. I had to leave my home. I had to uproot myself and my child. And he goes, well, you didn't have to. Again, she now sees what he's doing, but she would have fallen for this in the past, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, do you want it to end? And she goes, why haven't you done anything? Why haven't you changed? You screamed at me. You said horrible things to me. You said I had no friends here and nobody likes me. And he says, I never said that. I never said that. You've got plenty of friends. Were we drinking? What do you want from me?
Right.
And she says, as soon as these cameras drop, you're going to send me a million text messages and talk horrible to me. You're going to rage text the shit out of me. Now be real. I don't want to talk to you. I feel like a freaking weird in my own bedroom. Now, and he goes, I don't know why. Like we talk every day. I don't know why. And she goes, we talk about cruise. He goes, yeah, Brittany, that's what space is supposed to be like. And she goes, I'm not saying I want to talk to you anymore because I don't. And he goes, awesome. Great. He's trying so hard. He thinks that this is making him look good and making her look bad that she left him. It is not hitting the way he thinks it is.
No. And that's the thing about Jax is like, he's so self-involved. He can't even figure out how he comes across to people.
And then he does figure out, and he's like, I know, I've got problems. I've got issues. Yeah, I know. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm a work in progress. We're like, we've heard you say that for 11 years.
Yeah. Exactly.
That you're a work in progress. Like we've seen.
Yeah. And you haven't done anything. Like, remember when he was, instead of going to therapy, he was going to like a Reiki healer or some shit like that. Like, oh my God, Jax, he is hopeless. And I think that at the end of the day, this actually makes Jax kind of a boring character because it's just the same story over and over again. And he's not changing. He's not evolving at all. And, I always say about our reality television characters is we don't want them to change. We want them to still be themselves, but we need to see them evolve. We need to see them learn. We need to see them do something different. And that never happens with Jax. It's just the same merry-go-round over and over again.
You're right. There's no growth.
None.
So he says in his talking head, he goes, I'm waving the white flag here and telling her, you're right. You're right. I surrender. So he says to her, he goes, if we can't be in the same room, I don't know what to do here. And like, there's no reason We can't be in the same room together. And she goes, Jax, you can't go on TMZ and say, Brittany moved back in the house. And he goes,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's not what I said. I said, she's at the house right now. She pulls it up on her phone and we hear the
Yep.
clip of him saying, no, we're not getting divorced. We're actually together and living in our home right now. And she plays it and he goes, okay, yeah, I said that. I'm sorry. And she goes, that is to make people think I'm lying about moving out. And we remember when all this happened, we were like, oh my God, this is totally for show. Jax just said she was living
Yes.
in the house. And we believed it.
Yes. Well, and I just knowing Jax and how his brain works, I'm like, oh, he's making sure we tune into the show. And
Hmm.
it's been hard for me, like, because I just thought Brittany would never leave him because after all the shit he's done to her and she hadn't left him yet, why would she leave him now? But yeah, now watching the show, it's like, oh, this seems actually real. And now I feel bad for saying I thought it was fake the whole time.
When we saw him in the house with her and the cameras caught him saying, you want another kid? You want to be a mother? Act like one.
Oh,
Like, I mean, that's a horrible, in addition to saying you have no friends and no one likes you,
yeah.
you're fat and lazy. Like, my God,
Yeah.
you can
He's
only put up with so
just
much.
terrible. Terrible. And the other thing that was weird, speaking about Brittany and her ulcers and whatever, is that yeah, he always tried to class her drinking as you're an alcoholic, you're unstable, you can't be a mother because you drink so much. And
Yeah.
if he had said your drinking is clearly affecting your health negatively, you should stop. That's one thing. Like that I agree with. But him being like, you can't have another kid, you're so drunk, you can't be a mother. It's like insane.
And I have to tell you, listen, this is a sidebar as my husband comes up on 10 years of sobriety. I had horrible stomach issues and literally went to like a specialist at Johns Hopkins
Hmm.
trying to figure out what was wrong with my stomach. It hurt all the time. And the doctors were like, "Do you have a lot of stress in your life?" And I was like, "No. I mean, I've got like two kids and like a part-time job, like normal stress, but not like anything that would be like this because I'm so like Brittany, so southern and so
Yeah.
used to being like everything's fine, everything's fine." But
Yeah.
literally, my husband was a raging alcoholic and it wasn't fine.
Yeah.
You know? But you don't talk about that in public and you keep it in and everything is fine. I've got two kids in the house and life is good. And so when I see Brittany, I see myself in that way and that I had these stomach problems for so many years and couldn't figure it out. Well, guess what it was? It was fucking stress.
Yeah.
That's what was eating my stomach
It was your
inside of
alcoholic
itself.
husband.
It was my alcoholic husband. Yes.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, again, my husband's about to be 10 years sober. So, props to him for that. But like 2 or 3 years after all that, I remember a friend of mine being like, oh, like I made something for you. I made it like gluten-free, dairy-free, wheat-free. I go, why? And they go, I thought you had to eat that way. I was like, oh, I totally forgot about that. No, I don't have to eat like that anymore. Like I was having to eat like that for so long because
Yeah.
they thought maybe that was the problem. And none of it was the problem. It was
Yeah.
the stress. And I just
You're
didn't
like,
know it.
I don't have to eat that way anymore. My husband's in AA now.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, so I really do feel like Brittany's stomach eating inside of itself is her stress. And I have to imagine in about a year's time, she'll be like, oh my God, my stomach hurt for 10 years and now it doesn't hurt anymore.
Yeah. That
I
stomach
really
ache was
do.
named Jax fucking Taylor, bitch.
Yeah. Yes. So she says in her confessional, she says, who literally just lies for attention? He does. I have come into my own. I make a lot of money. And I feel like I've woken up and I feel stronger now and I'm going to be okay. And I know my worth and I know I don't deserve to be treated like this. What was I thinking staying with him for this long?
Amen, sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she says to Jack, she says, do you think I'm going to keep bouncing between Airbnbs? And he goes, I mean, look, I know like something's wrong here. I need help. I'm a work in progress. I need to change. I have a lot of demons. I've got pent up aggression. I take it out on you. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's hard for me to ask for help. Men in my family don't ask for help. I can't show my emotion. We just bury it. And she goes, no, I hide my emotions. You let
Yeah.
yours out in a very aggressive way.
Hmm.
And he's like, huh. And she goes, I don't know what else to say. Let's just agree not to argue in front of the baby and move on.
Yeah, peace out.
He says,
Wow.
it's been an amazing 9 years. I love my wife. I don't want to get divorced. And in Talking Heads, she goes, I wouldn't take anything back because I'm grateful for my child. And I've just
Right.
woken up. And for my child's sake, I can't do it anymore. And then we get a recap of when we first met Brittany from Kentucky, when they met at the pool in Vegas, to when
Oh
he
my
brought
God.
her in. We get a recap of the whole thing all the way through Rotten Hell and their wedding, everything. We get a whole recap, and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow. And then we see her leaving, getting into her, G Wagon and leaving. And if I had to see one more shot of Couchy Homestead, I
Oh
mean,
my
there is
God.
so much word art in this house.
Oh my God. So much word art.
And I leave you with the final
Rustic.
question.
Rustic.
Rustic. Who gets custody of the signs? I mean, do they just go into a dumpster? I mean,
Please. I mean, sell them back to Home Goods. I don't know. I would pay like $100 for the Couchy Homestead sign.
you're right. They should do a Tom Girardi type sale.
Yeah, a charity auction for Brittany's new house.
They need one in the hallway of the Watch What Happens Live clubhouse.
I mean, absolutely. Yes. Oh my God. I hope she's really done. I hope and pray she's
She
really
has to
done.
be. She has to be. Even if she wasn't, and then she watched back this season and can just see it from the lens of like a lot of these housewives do. They see it through the lens of how their husband speaks to them or whatever. They're like, whoa, now that I
Yeah.
see it on television, that is really bad.
No,
You
absolutely. And
know?
I also think it keeps them accountable in that if Brittany were to go back with him, the fans would be like, Brittany, what the fuck is wrong with you? So
Yeah.
I do think that in this instance, the show is probably a good thing. So yeah.
They're definitely done. And I think we're going to see I think we're going to see a complete glow up of Brittany. I think Brittany is going to get her stomach issues fixed. And I
Yep.
think she's going to take those implants down.
Yes.
And I think she's going to stop with all the face work and everything because I think she was doing all of that for Jax to try to make
No,
Jax attracted to her or like her. And she
yes.
doesn't need it.
No. And yeah, and right, if she just stopped messing with her face, she's always been a very attractive woman and so nice. So,
Yes.
yeah, Brittany's a catch, except you have to deal with
Yeah.
Jax the rest of your life as the
Right.
baby daddy. But,
Right.
you know,
Right.
yeah,
No, Brittany is the nicest person. There's like I was talking to Brandy and Julie last week, and they used to have that Vanderpump Rules after show, so like they know
yeah,
Brittany, and they're like, there's literally not one person you will ever meet that could say one thing bad about her.
yeah,
She's nice to everyone, and she thought probably she could change Jax, and he
you
didn't
can't,
deserve her, and he
especially
fucked it up,
Jax.
and he
So,
fucked it up.
what do you think season 2 of The Valley is going to look like? Supposedly, we're getting the same exact cast.
I love that. I'd like to see a little more of Jasmine's girlfriend. I'd like to see,
Same.
yeah.
I
Um,
feel like Jasmine's girlfriend doesn't want to be on the show.
Probably. Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Because like she didn't show up at that trip. She was she was hiding in the corner at the bar opening.
Yeah.
Like she's Eddie judging it. Like, just
Yeah.
trying to,
Hide.
support but being as little as she possibly can.
Let's see. So I think that what we're gonna see is two divorced couples. We're gonna see
Yep.
Michelle and Jesse and Brittany and Jax. And I think that it really is a great representation of a lot of people in this world that you get into this marriage and you think it's the right thing and then you hit your late 30s and you're like, what am I doing here? And I've got my kid and now I can leave. I think it's a great representation of just like when Friends came out, Brian, it was a
Yeah.
great representation for me because I had just done with college and moved to a big city. You know what I mean? Sometimes shows hit with you like that. It really speaks
Yeah.
to where you are in your life. And I think a lot of Bravo watchers that have been watching Vanderpump since the beginning are in that exact spot
Yeah.
of getting divorced and moving on. And I think that's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see the takedown of Janet.
Yep. 100%, which I can't wait for.
And then when I say we're going to see the rising of Chris and Dodie, which I love. Yeah.
She was really sidelined from the final episode in a way that I did not care for.
The last 3 episodes, and Janet did all that.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see the takedown of Janet and the rise of Kristen, which I love. Listen, you could call crazy Kristen whatever, but she's great television, and I'm glad to see her.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that unlike a lot of like Katie and Tom or Sandoval and Ariana, where they're on this show, so they have to hang out with each other where they normally wouldn't. And it was kind of weird. Here, both of these couples have kids. So they at least need to interact over the kid. So I think it's going to be a little bit more of a natural transition from them being couples on the show to them being, divorced now.
I will say that when I was at Jax's Bar and Grill, so he was there running around. He like came up and like spoke to us and took a picture and, whatever. And then Kristen and Luke came in and we talked to them. And Kristen is friendly with Ryan. So we talked to them a little bit longer. And no, I'm sorry, it was Kristen and Zach. Luke was there too, but he kind of went over to the side. And they were great. And when Brittany walked in, she was with Michelle, who of course I didn't know was Michelle at the time. And she walked in and saw Jax sitting in that circular couch area where the cast was. And she just kind of like immediately went to the back and was like putting her purse down or whatever. She wasn't really engaging. And then she did sit at that couch with the cast near him.
Yeah.
But they did not interact. And and this is when the news had come out that they were separated and stuff. And we were watching to see like, oh, it's fake. Like maybe they're really not separated, but they weren't really speaking.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I think season 2 of The Valley is going to be real good.
I hope they're filming it right now.
Yeah. I hope so too.
Because it's summer.
Well, especially because they're not filming Vanderpump Rules. I mean, give those camera people and producers and whatever something to do. Get them on The Valley.
Yeah. Yes. I'm very excited about it. Well, I give The Valley 5 stars, 2 thumbs up.
Absolutely.
What I would like for you to tell everybody what's going on with you and your amazing writing over at Vulture.
Oh, well, so right now, I mean, there's not a lot of Bravo on at the moment. So I'm only recapping Real Housewives of New Jersey on vulture.com. And, but then I also have a newsletter called the Housewives Institute Bulletin. It comes out every 2 weeks. It's coming out this Friday. And you can sign up for that at vulture.com/housewives. And we do fun little features. I have an interview with Joe the Balloon Guy coming up. We have someone going
Who's Joe the Balloon Guy?
From Summer House, who hooked up with Danielle.
I don't fuck with Summer House.
Oh, Summer House is the best.
I know.
Yeah, we have someone going to Jen Lyon's soup sale. We have a review of something about her sandwiches. So it's a lot. I always say that if Bravo had a local newspaper, it would be my newsletter. So sign up for that. Vulture.com/housewives. It comes out.
Did you taste the sandwiches? Who tasted the sandwiches?
I have not been. I was in LA actually, and I left the day before it opened, which was terrible. So one of the other Vulture writers, her name's Bethy Squire. She writes a lot about Vanderpump Rules. She's super funny. She's going, so it's going to be a really fun time.
Okay, well, I'm dying to have one of those sandwiches. They look great.
Same.
They need to do like a half a sandwich in a soup. Sometimes I like a half a sandwich.
Yeah, I mean, can't they get a deal with like Pret? Can't they make like a Pret a manger, like something about her sandwich? Collab.
Yes, I'd love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, everybody, you make sure to follow Brian. You're on Instagram at Brian J. Moylan. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Look at me. And guys, if you have been following my Instagram journey, I would like to announce here on Thursday's episode that I did hit 10,000 followers on Instagram.
Congratulations.
And I'd like to thank the Academy and my agent and my
I just
hairstylist.
cracked 12,000 myself, not to one up you, but know.
Wow. Way to take my moment.
It's hard to get those organic likes. We could have just bought them, but we didn't.
I mean, how many times a day do you get the thing like 500 likes for $10? I'm like, should I do it? Never done it. I have been begging people for months, like, you guys, I'm so close. Literally, do you have a Finsta? Does your grandmother have an account? Does your dog have an account? I had people that created accounts for their dogs just to do it for me. I'm like, so I'd like to thank my mother. I'd like to thank my sister who always believed in me. And I'd like to thank, of course, God. That's it.
And all of the dog Instagram accounts that got you there.
All of the dogs that love me. Listen, I will tell you this though. I right before I went to bed, I sent like a thing on the like Facebook group. It's a Pink Shade Facebook group, and was like, you guys, this is not a drill. I am 20 away, 9,980. And I went to bed, and I woke up this morning, and my sister had sent me a text and was like, I want to congratulate you. I want to be the first one. It was like I'd had a baby. So
It's
you
so
guys,
nice to have that K there, isn't it? I
it
mean,
is so nice. And I sent
yeah.
it to Ingrid, my producer who you met. I sent it to Ingrid, and she wrote back, "We did it, Joe."
Yeah. Yes. Yay for us.
She usually sends me the Kris Jenner emoji of "You're doing great, sweetie." That's usually what she sends me. That's usually what she sends me.
I
Well,
love that.
everybody, listen, you're missing out on some great content if you're not over there following at Pink Shade on Instagram, and you should follow at Brian J. Moylan. He has 2,000 more followers than me. So it's got to be good content over there. And you guys make sure to subscribe to Brian's Real Housewives Institute newsletter. I get it in my inbox, and it's worth the read. Worth the read.
Oh, thanks so much.
Brian's an incredible writer. And what's the name of your book? Just to remind everybody.
It's The Housewives: the real story behind the Real Housewives, and it's like on Amazon and everywhere. You can get it pretty cheap, and I think it's free on Audible if you want to listen to me read it. So
Fun. That's fun.
yeah, go wild. Listen to a free book by me. Yay.
What?
Yeah,
Brian also co-wrote Erica Jane's book.
I did.
Pre-scandal.
Pre-scandal, I know.
Pre-scandal.
I would love to write the post-scandal book too.
Yes. All right. Keep us posted. Thank you, Brian. Don't hang up. Goodbye. Ads not read by me, Mary Payne, don't necessarily reflect the views of Pink Shade. If you'd like to listen to ad-free, you're going to go on over to Supercast or Patreon, and you can find the links to Pink Shade Prime at pinkshadepodcast.com.